It's the 30th of March. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Um, I meant to do another video before this, but I've been just kind of overloaded with what's going on. There's a lot of news to talk about. So the first part of this one, this one I'm going to do is about Fukushima. I'll probably do another one today, and that one will probably be about some of the other just ridiculous stuff that's going on. So Fukushima. The water in reactor 2, they have now said from numerous sources, is at 1,000 millisieverts per hour, and the allowable workers level is 20 millisieverts. So these guys are going to have problems. They've got plutonium outside of the facility now. They're admitting that there's a reactor breach. The containment vessel on number 2 supposedly has been breached. If if you don't believe that those reactors are not intact, then I think you're deluding yourself a little bit. The size of those explosions, the fires, it's insane to think that the reactor cores are intact in all of those reactors. Now, just this morning, they've come out with news that at the Guyana plant, there is one of the reactors is starting to vent smoke and steam. So the situation just keeps getting worse and worse. TEPCO finally has figured out that the reactors are a total loss and they're going to be decommissioned. Finally, the guys are finally starting to give us a little bit of truth here. The radiation is now, out to sea. It's in the air. It's in the soil. It's on the dust. It's floating around in the air. This is so bad over there. If they're getting radiation all the way into Tokyo, and now the milk and the water is contaminated, it's Japan is gonna have to be evacuated, and I don't think it's gonna be a small thing. It's gonna be, half of the entire population of Japan is gonna have to either move to the other, either the far northern island, which is not a good idea because of the wind patterns, or the southern end of the island, which is again not so much a good idea because depending on the wind, they're still going to get the radiation. You're talking about a massive, massive humanitarian evacuation effort that's going to have to take place here. I have another tape or video that I talked about Project Exodus, and this may be the start of Project Exodus because being in Northern California, for right now, it's not a big deal. But the problem is with the rain, with the radioactive iodine and the radioactive, other elements being in the rain, it's coming down and it's saturating the ground. And then, you get more rain and there's more in the ground and there's more rain and then there's more in the ground. And eventually, 6 months or a year later, you can't grow food, you can't go out and do anything because if you breathe the dust, you're going to end up getting these radioactive particles. And no, it's not going to be as bad as breathing a uranium particle or a Du or plutonium, but it's still going to be bad. It's still going to have massive consequences. I am still on the fence as to whether there's any hard evidence of manipulation going on with this event, besides just the cover up after the fact. If you watch some of the Cliff High stuff, they were talking about the oil volcano in the Middle East, and it will be set off by Israel triggering a nuclear explosion at one of the radioactive plants or something along those lines. Depending on how you read the information, it can come out a little bit different. It's interesting to see that Israel was involved with the security at the plant. Whether that actually means anything or not, no idea. Like I said, as far as any information of sabotage, there's nothing hardcore. There's nothing. Um, there's no solid evidence of that. Um, if anything, I think it may have been simply just helped along a little bit. But you don't need to take that into account to account for how large it was. In the several days after the initial earthquake and tsunami, they were having 25, 30, in some cases one day it was 33 earthquakes off the coast of Honshu, and that's ridiculous. That's an incredible amount of earthquakes, and now it's dropped down to where pretty much there's it's in single digits for you know everywhere around the world. The for a while there the one day was 27 earthquakes, and most of them averaged fours, fives, and there was a couple of sixes on there. Today there was a six, there was a 5.8. So the earthquakes are still happening. It's not as if it's just stopped. So there's still a lot going on, and I think people think, oh, it's they're getting it under control and it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. Go to Half Past Human and read the article that's on there, and that, I think, is one way that you can look at it, because this is going to go on for a long time. There's things that can be done. Yes, they're spraying foam and resin to try and keep the particles on the ground. Good idea, but our Buckminster Fuller had something called geodesic domes, and that is one of the ideas that I think that may work in this instance, because they're easy to put together, they're easy to assemble, they're easy to construct. So the big benefit with that is, you could build, say, a 3 or 4,000 foot diameter, 1,500 foot tall dome over the main reactors, or several bubbles, and if you do it right, you could keep the radiation enclosed into those bubbles. But the problem then is going to be you still have to go in and decommission the reactors at some point, and the radiation will be so high at that point that humans would be dead within minutes, and that's the possibility that we're looking at in this situation. That it is so bad that humans cannot function. You might be able to make it 5 minutes, but you're gonna have cancer for the rest of your life. And that's all it comes down to. So I think people are still in denial about the whole thing with Fukushima. It's gonna be a global thing. It's not gonna be just affecting Japan. I mean, we've already seen that TEPCO has lost $29 billion of its value, 70% of its value, in roughly 2.5 weeks. The people were complaining that oh, Japan's going to sell the U.S. bonds. Well, why wouldn't they? Why, seriously, why wouldn't they sell our bonds in order to have money to fund their own recovery? It is asinine to think that they wouldn't. And for people that think that it's wrong for them to do that, you need to pull your head out of your ass, because that's why they're there. That's why they invest in these things, is so that at some point they can sell them. And honestly, if I was Japan, I would be dumping American bonds quicker than you could say, what are we doing? Because look at America. Just look at it. Look around. How many vacant houses are on your block? How many foreclosed homes are within 500 feet, or 1,000 feet, or a half mile of your house? Go and look at foreclosed homes. Go and look at the Detroit housing apocalypse 2010. Go and look at some of these videos of people just driving around these housing subdivisions where there's no houses that have people in them, or it's a giant subdivision that only got half built and the houses are just empty because they want $300,000 for a house that's only worth $100,000, because the market was so overinflated. And these are the kind of things you have to look at, because it's all intertwined. Someone mentioned the other day about what are the consequences going to be of chemtrails, um, the effect of the radiation in the barium and aluminum that's in the atmosphere that they're using to either, depending on who you look at, either heat or cool the atmosphere or whatever the hell they're trying to do. They won't tell us. We know they're doing it, but that's about it. Um, you know, what's going to be the interaction between the radioactive iodine, the aluminum and the barium that comes down in the rain? And that's the problem that I see is, it's Agenda 21 happening. They may not have caused the catastrophe in Fukushima, but they definitely are going to take advantage of it. You know, it's like they said, never let a good crisis go to waste, and that's what they're doing. And if you don't believe me, just look at what's going on. Um, I don't know what to say. If I had a way to, help fund people to go over there and help, I would do it. But I have trouble feeding myself, and it comes down to the point of where you either have to worry about yourself or you have to worry about everyone else. And I would love to be able to go and help, and whether I can go over and work for one day and I die, hey, I will have done something. And that's kind of where I'm at with these videos is I can no longer stand by and do nothing. And that's kind of the point of this whole exercise is, how long will you stand by and let the power companies, the nuclear agencies, TEPCO, GE, kill you and take your money to kill you? Because that's what's happening. If you don't believe me, look at the FDA and aspartame. It's just insanity. And Project Exodus. The world is insane, and it's time to leave. So, on that note, God bless everyone in Japan. Good luck to you. Um, to the Fukushima 50, you guys are heroes, and everyone who works on this reactor and tries to help clean it up and whatnot, you guys are all heroes. And whether if you end up dying of cancer, at least you will know that you did something. And yeah, that's about the extent of it.